Good morning, Lake Providence church family and friends, and Happy New Year. God has blessed us to see the first Sunday of 2021. No matter how horrible we thought 2020 was, it left us with lessons and unanswered questions. We have stronger faith, more gratitude, and definitely some testimonies. So we praise God for that. But where do we go from here? Well, we keep believing in His Word and working those faith muscles. We stay abreast of information and from reputable sources, and we use the wisdom that God has given, especially us, to choose paths that He has planned for us, both collectively and individually. Speaking of choices, let's talk vaccines for a minute. Now, this is a choice that's best made when we understand and weigh our personal risk for COVID-19 infection and our risk and benefits for COVID-19 vaccination. The intention of the Lake Providence Missionary Baptist Church Health Ministry is to provide you with information to help make that decision easier for you and your family with the advice of your primary care physician. Now, the purpose of the vaccine is to achieve herd immunity. Herd immunity occurs when enough people in the population have had the infection and or had vaccinations to form antibodies. Those are the proteins that we make when our bodies try to fight off something that's foreign to it. The population then develops herd immunity, and the virus can no longer jump from human to human and continue to spread throughout the population. Why the push for a vaccine? Well, about 70% of the population has to develop antibodies to attain herd immunity. At this time, the United States had 19.7 million documented cases of COVID-19 and over 341,000 deaths due to COVID-19. That means that only 6% of us have antibodies from COVID-19 infections. Now imagine how many more cases and deaths would be required to reach the 70% estimated for herd immunity to occur. That scenario is the unacceptable reason why a vaccine was urgently needed to stop the spread of COVID-19. Granted, the majority of those who get infected recover and do well. Some are left with temporary and others with permanent disabilities. Regardless, the death toll is just too great, especially for people of color. Studies are showing that the more antibodies are made when there's a COVID vaccination rather than when there's a COVID infection. Immunity is believed to wane over time with both. But this is the reason why it's recommended that people who've had the infection take the vaccine as well. The vaccine technology is different from what we've previously had. The two vaccines, one from Pfizer and one from Moderna, that have emergency use authorization from the FDA right now, differ from previous vaccines in that neither contains active, weakened, or dead virus and cannot cause a COVID-19 infection. Messenger RNA is the protein that our bodies uses to tell us what proteins to make. A form of messenger RNA is made with the genetic code of the spike protein on the outside of the COVID-19 virus. The messenger RNA is injected with the genetic code of that spike protein. It goes into our bodies, into our muscle cells, and it makes proteins like the spike proteins on the virus. Our bodies recognize those proteins as foreign, and then it mounts an immune response and makes antibodies against it. Our bodies destroy that messenger RNA that's telling us to make the spike protein. It destroys that after a few hours. So it can't continue to make that spike protein indefinitely. Now, if and when our bodies see the COVID-19 virus spike protein again, it fights it with those antibodies, so the virus cannot enter our cells and reproduce itself, or rather infect us. That's how we get immunity. In addition, Neither of the vaccines contains preservatives like thimerosal, which is in some flu vaccines, and neither requires growth in eggs like previous vaccines. So there's no egg products to be allergic to. While this vaccine uses synthetic genetic material copied from the spike protein on the outside of the virus, it does not enter the part of the cell that contains our genetic material. So it does not interfere with our genetic makeup. Who should not get the vaccine? Well, people who have received monoclonal antibodies or convalescent serum should not get the vaccine for 3 months. Safety data on pregnant and breastfeeding women is not available at this time. Those with a history of severe allergic reactions should not get vaccinated at this time, and it is not recommended that COVID-19 vaccine and the flu vaccine be taken at the same time or soon after. There should be at least a 2-week period between COVID-19 vaccine and any other vaccine. Possible side effects: you can get pain and or swelling of the arm, fever, chills, tiredness, or headache. The symptoms may be worse after the second dose. This is not from a COVID-19 infection. That's your body mounting an immune response to something foreign. It's usually worse in younger than older patients. The vaccination plan by each state is in progress. Some states have gone further than others with this vaccination plan. The vaccination plan for Tennessee is on our Lake Providence LPMBC Nashville Health Facebook page. Healthcare workers and frontliners were the first in the group to be vaccinated, followed by nursing home patients. The United States doesn't have an adequate amount of vaccine, so it's expected that the rollout may take a little longer than usual, than anticipated. Jeremiah 29:11 says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future." With that said, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay prayed up. Happy New Year.